Hey Adni fam, it is Anthony. I am super stoked. Today we are joined by the legend himself, Zach Smith. Zach's career is truly so beyond inspiring. It's one that I personally have always looked up to, and I'm sure all of you are going to have so much incredible insights to take away from the conversation. Zach is currently the Vice President of Brand and Engagement at Stability Healthcare. We're super excited to be partners with Stability Healthcare and excited to dive into learning more about you, Zach, and Stability. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely happy to be here and obviously been following your journey and your platform's journey for a long time now. So super excited to talk with you some more.
Yeah, I know. It's been such a roller coaster. I feel like you have been someone who's kind of seen the whole journey unfolded and always been someone who's so supportive. So thank you so much for that. But for folks who maybe aren't as familiar with your background, would love to just hear from you if you could give us a crash course on your career and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've had quite a unique career and I've been really fortunate to have the opportunities to take advantage of, but started my career bedside nursing. So did that for 6 or 7 years, worked in a bunch of different specialties, adults and pediatrics. Ended in pediatrics, which was my favorite place, and was hard to leave the bedside, but I had a great opportunity. We were starting the company NurseGrid at the time, and so we were just about to launch and started to run ads and thought, hey, we've actually got something on our hands here. The app was getting downloaded by a lot of people, and so the opportunity came where I was able to leave bedside, join NurseGrid full-time, and start to run sort of brand and marketing for NurseGrid and working on the product there too. And so we grew and scaled that company until we were acquired in 2020. And since then, I've been helping other brands launch their businesses, and currently with Stability Healthcare right now, doing the brand and engagement over here and loving it, and just looking forward to connecting with as many clinicians as I possibly can. And trying to take my experience as a bedside healthcare professional, connect it with businesses, and use that to make a difference in nursing.
It's super awesome. I think obviously the incredible career you've had is so inspiring, and I love that you now are leveraging your nursing skill set and perspective in a really unique way, which is to help businesses really understand healthcare workers, which I think is really a benefit to us all because, if we can have more healthcare workers at the table to bring forward different ideas and perspectives, I think it kind of improves everyone's experience and ultimately leads to better patient care. So with that said, would love to learn more about Stability Healthcare, and I think you've been there for almost 2 years. You've worked with Stability. So yeah, tell us a little bit about Stability and what makes it an exciting healthcare staffing agency today.
Well, I've been with Stability for now almost 2 years, but I began working with Stability when I was at NurseGrid, and we were working with Stability and developed a really good relationship with the team here at Stability, and that carried on through, obviously, a few years after we were acquired. Then here I joined Stability. And so what I really like about Stability is the people, and I looked around about which company did I want to join, and did I support their mission, and did I believe that the people were in it for the right reasons. And I've worked with a number of businesses now, and that hasn't always been the case. And I think that's the thing that really rubs me the wrong way, is when I work with organizations that feel like they're just trying to take advantage of the nursing market opportunity. Because it is a big opportunity, and everyone's looking to sort of find and reach all these nurses and other healthcare clinicians for their own benefit. And I think when you work with people like yourself, as a nurse, and your team who have healthcare professionals on your team, it's the same with Stability. Is we're looking to bring healthcare clinicians into our company so we can better craft our business around their needs. And so for myself, obviously I'm a bedside healthcare clinician. But I also hired onto our team another travel nurse to help us with our brand and marketing as well. I think that experience goes a long way when you're trying to build a business that caters to those healthcare professionals. But it also just makes sure that when you have folks like us inside of a business, that you're going to make sure that those clinicians are actually being put first, because like I said, that's not always the case. And I think it's important to be a little skeptical sometimes of companies and their motivations about why they're out there and what they're doing, or why they're doing what they're doing. And just to bring it around to stability, that's what I love about this company is the people here really, really actually do care. And I know that's probably something that a lot of people say, but I can say as someone who has now worked for a number of organizations and seen both sides of the coin, that the people here are in it for the right reasons. And it's a really sort of human-centered agency that tries to focus on the clinician and doing right by them and advocating for them. I would just think like, as nurses and healthcare clinicians, like we are the patient's advocate so many times, and who's the advocate for nurses and clinicians themselves, and you need companies who are on your side, and that's Stability Healthcare.
I love that. It's so awesome to have a organization that genuinely cares about their healthcare workers. I think that is something that is, I don't know, it's just, you think that would be how everyone should be, but it's not, it's really not. I think that there's a lot of words that are said about support for healthcare workers, but I think when, actions speak louder than words. So it's so cool that Stability is bringing clinicians into their executive team and really making sure that the company is being built, for healthcare workers by healthcare workers. I think there really is no better way to do it. So really, really exciting to hear. And as someone who, is a nurse who has had such a diverse career in healthcare, in business, in tech, can you just give us your perspective on the state of healthcare staffing? Like, I feel like as someone who is inside it, like, can you just give us a glimpse into like what you're seeing for prospective travelers out there, for current travelers? Like, what is your current pulse of the healthcare staffing market right now?
Well, NurseGrid wasn't just a free app to helping nurses and healthcare clinicians manage their schedule, but we also built a staffing solution for hospitals. And so our job was predominantly outside of the app, was selling to healthcare staffing leaders. And that really gave me a first-hand experience of how challenging it is to impact change in healthcare in particular. It's very bureaucratic, and there's lots of decision makers that are involved, and the sales cycle, sometimes selling to these hospitals, can take a long time. And so any change in healthcare is always going to be years and years behind the changes and trends that we see in potentially other industries. And I would like to see that speed up, and I wish I could say it is, but I don't get the sense that there is a tremendous amount of urgency. I think hospitals and the healthcare industry spends a lot of money just trying to find people like you and your listeners, people who are out there working in the healthcare industry. And so they're spending so much time and money trying to find them that they're not spending as much time and money trying to fix the state of healthcare right now, in particular healthcare staffing. And so because they're just in this dire need of just trying to stop the bleeding by getting more clinicians in the door, they're not focusing on why the clinicians are walking out the door on the other side. And so we have this cycle, right, of clinicians getting hired into an organization, getting burned out, and then leaving the organization and going somewhere else, whether it's travel or working at a clinic or moving beyond bedside to other opportunities. And I think that's the true crisis that we're facing in healthcare right now, is that the conditions are so terrible that it's impossible to retain staff because they're getting burnt out so quickly. And to me, it's the most urgent and highest priority in healthcare right now is how do we figure out at fixing this profession so that clinicians want to stay and they want to have long careers. I feel like we're past the days of having those nurses that are retiring after working on the floor for 60 years, sometimes literally, right? Those days almost feel behind us. We're looking at the data of new nurses coming into nursing and they're dropping out within a few years. We're having the highest attrition rates of new nurses ever. This is a crisis, and I feel like all the attention is spent on just trying to find the nurses. Now, where I think staffing is going is it's still trying to figure out how do we use technology to make ourselves more efficient, which is sometimes a red flag for clinicians. Like, efficiency usually just ends up falling on the nurse themselves to take an extra patient.
Right.
or walk faster from room to room.
Right.
But there is ways that I think technology can help us, better manage our staff and find clinicians for single shift opportunities. I think is going to be a trend where per diem continues to expand with by leveraging technology to flex on and off staff more efficiently. And I think staffing companies will still play a really important role because there are seasonal changes that happen with the census. And when you're working with, the whole industry is short-staffed, right? We don't have enough clinicians who are currently willing to work in the environment today. And so what do? Well, we have to make the most out of what do we have. And that partially means having travel nurses and healthcare travelers working 3-month contracts in one place, then going to work 3 months in another place to sort of patch up the staffing holes that these facilities have. And what we've obviously experienced from the pandemic, where there was a lot of FEMA money and agencies were able to throw, hospitals were able to throw a lot of money into their bill rates to get clinicians in the door. That money is now gone, and they've gone the other direction where they're trying to find people for perm positions. So there's this sort of like ebb and flow that's happening right now, but I do think we're settling into an environment where hospitals realize they still very much need healthcare travelers, and they're trying to partner with the right agencies to get good clinicians in their door, because there is oftentimes clinicians who aren't prepared to work on the floor, maybe weren't quite qualified to work in the position that they're in, and in some agencies who may not have as much integrity are trying to do those positions because they want to collect the bill rate themselves, so they're trying to force these clinicians in. And so I think it's really important that the agencies have a sense of responsibility in finding the right clinicians and putting them in the right positions so that they can succeed and the hospitals can succeed too. But it's a really challenging time for healthcare clinicians right now. My wife's a nurse, and she's traveled around as well. And so, we understand this, we get this, from our own perspective, but obviously healthcare is in a dire shape right now, and so we've got to find more innovative solutions to solve the crises.
Really well said, Zach. I think a very complex question to answer, because there are so many different things going on at once. I think in my personal experience, like even just building a startup in this space, I think for so long we were really focused on retention and like clinician helping to stop that bleeding and building tools that help clinicians feel more supported, live happier, healthier lives. And yeah, I mean, we spent a long time really trying to have that system adopted, and it was really, really hard. I just think that it was so clear to me that, although I think a lot of healthcare leaders wanted to prioritize retention and wanted that to be something they bring forward, it was so hard to create a budget for it, because the budget ultimately was just going to recruiting, because that was like the fastest thing to solve the problem, right? It's like, how do we stop the bleeding? Well, we could just recruit 10 more nurses in, or we could try to build our retention. It's just like a harder metric to track, and I think a longer time in ROI. To where recruiting, it's like you hire and then boom, right? Like it's like at least we have another person. And I think for that reason, we really have had to kind of be creative in how we also have recruiting be one of our value propositions, with the retention and with the support and with the rewards. But I think, your point is so well said. And I think a lot of folks in all aspects of healthcare, whether you're working bedside or whether you're a leader or working in another space, can definitely resonate with that.
I just think that hospitals are stuck in this cycle where they're either where they have short-term problems and long-term problems, and they're stuck trying to fix the short-term problems, and so the long-term problems never get addressed, and as a result, those long-term problems become your short-term problems.
Yes.
And so the cycle just keeps continuing, and we've got to find a way of doing both, where you need to find clinicians, but you also need to retain your clinicians. So what are you doing about the working environments to make sure that your staff aren't burnt out and they want to stay, they want to work here? Do things like that, and it'll be a heck of a lot easier to get more clinicians in the door.
Absolutely. I love that. So for any healthcare workers out there listening that haven't traveled yet, or are kind of thinking about maybe taking a travel contract, they've heard a lot on TikTok about it. There's so much content out there. What would be your advice to them now, having actually worked at a healthcare staffing agency, having built a previous company that was building staffing solutions? Like, what is your advice for healthcare workers potentially looking into becoming a traveler?
Yeah, well, I mean, my wife and I never thought traveling would have worked for us. We have two kids, we have a house, we have a dog, and we've got roots in the ground. So we didn't think that this was going to be an opportunity. We thought that was for other people who aren't married or don't have kids or things like that. And what we found is that there was even a market for us where she was working close enough that she could work her shifts for 1 week, and then she could come back on a few days off and stay with us. And I was at home with the kids, getting them off to school and daycare and all that good stuff. And while she was working, and so if it can work for us, it can work for pretty much anyone because we found a way. Now that's not to say that that experience is going to be the same for everyone. Maybe you want to travel across the country, and it's a little bit harder to get back home. In my wife's case, it was pretty close, but I would just say, first and foremost, realize that travel might actually be an opportunity for you if you stop and think about it and talk to others. So don't immediately cross it off your list because you don't want to fly across the country. You don't necessarily have to do that. There are contracts that are just a state away or a few cities away that you are still qualified to accept. So that's first and foremost what I would say is expand your thinking to what travel could mean to you and your family, because it might actually work. And in the case for my wife and I, it was great because she could essentially work 3 months and then she'd be done, and then we could have some time together. Now, preceding her career in travel nursing, she was working as a staff nurse at a hospital, labor and delivery, and she had been there for 9 years. She's one of the most senior nurses, super experienced nurse
Wow.
at this particular hospital. And she was asking for a vacation to take a few days off, and they declined that because they didn't have the staffing numbers. And so she asked for another vacation on a different week, and they declined that because someone else had already decided to take a vacation on that day. And she's like, why do
Wow.
I even have this PTO if I can't even use it? She'd just gotten out of the pandemic, which was exhausting for her and every other healthcare worker, right? And she wanted to use some of this PTO that she built up, but she couldn't because there wasn't enough staff to cover her shift. And so that was one thing that really sort of made her say, you know what, like, maybe I want to be more in control of my schedule, and take a contract for 3 months and then go on vacation when I want to go on vacation. And so part of this was just sort of like getting her power back for her life. Traveling is really a really important experience for our family, but also just getting away as a married couple and having some days to ourselves is really important. And we couldn't do that while she was working at the hospital, and it was infuriating. The other aspect was she was, like I said, super qualified, and she had gotten all these extra certifications so that she could, scrub into to surgeries and things like that. And so she was asking, hey, maybe can I get an extra $1 per hour for this certification? And they wouldn't give her even an inch on that. Meanwhile, she's
Wow.
staring down travel contracts that are way higher paying than what she was making as a 9-year nurse on this particular hospital. I think she'd been a nurse even longer than that. So it just became very clear that travel was the right opportunity for her. Now, she did travel. She did it for a few years, and now she's back as a staff nurse at a hospital working per diem shifts. Again, being able to choose her own schedule, work when she wants to work. And so I just like to say to people, like, travel doesn't have to be the next 10 years of your life. It can even just be one contract. The hospitals are desperate for clinicians. So even if you leave your job and you leave that seniority at the door, you can still find other opportunities at different hospitals in the area. Or in my wife's case, she went back to work at the same hospital because it had been a year, and you usually have to wait like a year before you can go back. But I just think it's an important exercise for healthcare clinicians to stop and be like, you're not stuck. You're not stuck here in this job. There are opportunities around you that you may not see right now. That hospital across the street, they would love to have you. That hospital in the other state would die to have you for 3 months filling their staffing holes. There are opportunities that you can take advantage of, no matter of your family and living circumstance, that could be right for you. And I think it's a really good opportunity for people to understand what it's like to have a little more freedom in their life and to take back
Yeah.
their career and have more control.
I love what you said about, also just checking and seeing what's out there and seeing what opportunities are out there, because I think so often it's so easy to get stuck in like where you're at, or your kind of routine, even if there are a lot of downsides, like you can't get PTO because the unit's short staffed. I think that sometimes when folks think about like approaching a staffing agency or signing up, it means they like have to accept a job, and I think that's really not the case in my experience. Like you can just kind of learn and see what opportunities are there for you, and be able to kind of explore kind of how to have a little bit more autonomy and flexibility in your career. And I think speaking of all those opportunities, Stability offers all different types of positions. Like it's not just travel, although it obviously a lot of jobs are travel contracts. There's per diem, there's local positions, there's some like exclusive opportunities. So yeah, I guess, do you agree that like it's okay to just kind of be able to explore your options a bit, even if you're not maybe 100% sure about taking the leap?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's always important to look up and look around for your career, and going to some of these different sites to engage with people. You can talk to some of these recruiters, and they'll give you a lot of really good information about what's out there and what might be right for you. I know this is something that we talk a lot about at Stability is, not everyone is like ready to go right now, and how do we not overwhelm them with too much information and trying to push them into one job. And so I send out a lot of emails to all of our clinicians at once, and I help run all of our marketing and stuff. But I try to make a point of, anytime someone writes in, if they have just a question about whatever it might be, just to talk with them and just have a really normal conversation, and not necessarily be like, okay, like now our conversation's done, let's get you in a job. It's really honestly about finding what's right for you. And that sort of goes back to what I was saying about working for the right organization, is finding the people that really care about the healthcare clinicians we're serving, and making sure that we can answer those questions and help see if travel is the right opportunity for you. And it might not be. Maybe it is a staff position, which we also have at Stability, but I think it's just good to expand your perspective and speak with others. And I would also just encourage you to talk to other travel nurses, other healthcare travelers, and find out what their experience has been like. And there's a lot of great forums and boards and websites for that.
Absolutely. Speaking of marketing, if you have time, I wanted to quickly pick your brain on the marketing side of, all of this space. I think you are truly an expert in marketing, branding for healthcare workers. Curious if you have any tips and tricks for, other leaders listening, or even healthcare workers who are just wanting to learn more about, how the marketing works. What are some of your biggest insights that you've had while kind of operating the branding and marketing and engagement at Stability?
I do think marketing has shifted over the years, and I think it'll continue to shift. So first and foremost, I think it's always like it's trying to always read and understand how marketing is done. And the best way of doing that is looking at your own habits. Where are you finding yourself going? I mean, I could see TikTok was coming, when it was still a much smaller app, but you knew it was coming. And so you better figure out how to run that platform to take advantage of it as a business. And so I kind of always had my eye on that, and I got on the platform myself, and I made sure that I was trying to post and figure it out. And you don't really know until you just start doing. But I think for just individual people, it's really important to know that that you don't have to have 10, 20, 100,000 people following you to be an influencer. Just you yourself as a bedside professional influence people, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's people at the nurses station that you're talking to, or maybe whether it is your social platform with a few hundred people. But you have influence, and the reason you have influence is because you have the trust of those who listen to you. And you've built up that trust and that credibility by working bedside, by seeing what it's like to be a healthcare clinician. That's what marketers need. They need that authenticity. They need that trust that you built. And some people have actual platforms with, more than a few thousand people, and that means that those people trust you. And so think about that experience about what can I do to leverage my trust to accomplish my own goals, whether that's creating a side business alongside bedside nursing to have an extra source of income, whether it's just sort of exploring my own opportunities about what product I might want to create myself, like you and your team have done, but understand that you have influence and you have agency, and that's what brands want. And so I always say that trust is the sort of commodity that we're dealing with in marketing right now. And that's why influencers are so influential, is because they have earned that trust. And businesses start without that trust. They have to gain it. And so sometimes they can leverage that by partnering with other people to access their platform and the trust that they've accrued. But as an influencer, or as a content creator, or as a healthcare clinician who's thinking about doing this, I only say, do your research about who you're partnering with, because once you lose that trust, it's really hard to get it back. And you wouldn't want to partner with the wrong organization who's going to abuse that and abuse maybe your followers or your friends and your colleagues, because once that trust is gone, it's really hard to get back.
I think it's really well said that you don't need millions of followers to be an influencer. I think the word influencers becomes so saturated. And you immediately think of social media, but I think all nurses are influencers. As you said, nursing is the most trusted profession for a reason. We are always educating, influencing patients, our colleagues, each other. So I think it's a really great message for everyone to hear.
And nursing is the most trusted profession in the nation. 20 years in a row, we keep getting rated that. So nurses inherently have trust built in to our name, to our badge. And so you just, with great power comes great responsibility. Use that trust wisely, and make sure that you're putting it to good use.
So true. Well, as we wrap up the podcast, was curious if you can share, anything exciting coming up for Stability. And also just wanted to shout out that Stability has joined Adni, which I'm so excited about. And I was just excited to learn, a little bit of why you guys joined Adni. And maybe if you can share a little bit of some exciting things coming up soon.
Absolutely. We joined Adni because we wanted to make sure that we're reaching people maybe who we haven't reached before. And you have developed such a strong community, and you have built such an amazing product that any association with you is a good association for us. So we obviously wanted to jump on and make sure that we're providing our employment opportunities to as many people as possible. And we know people are on your platform, they're getting points, they're buying things, they're in your marketplace, and they're looking at jobs, and we wanted to make sure we were there too. So that's one. The other thing is, I love you guys. You guys are amazing, and you're doing really important work in this space. And anything I can do to help or be a part of an organization that I know is doing as many good things as you guys are doing is something that I'm gonna work really hard to do. So that's the other aspect of it. Now, as far as Stability goes, we are constantly evaluating our efforts for the market and what clinicians want. And so we did just add perm jobs because we realized the market wants a lot of perm opportunities. We saw that people were having a hard time understanding if a perm job was actually more lucrative than a travel job after you factor in things like the non-taxable stipend and housing costs and cost of living across different areas. And so we built a calculator that helps you compare, is a staff job better paying for you versus a travel job? We want to help people make that decision, even if maybe it's not the decision that would help us the most. It might be the decision that helps you the most, that says, actually, you're good right where you are, stay in your job. Or maybe, actually, you could be making a little bit more money doing this over here. So we built tools like that. Right before this, I was rewriting some of our emails that we send out as people join our account, and really trying to make sure that we cut through all the BS from that people receive from every agency once they sign up for some of these lists, and they get blasted. We're very sensitive to the fact that people are just getting inundated with messages and emails, phone calls, and texts, and we take that really seriously to try to decrease the noise that you're receiving and increase the resources that can help you thrive in your career. And one of the best ways is getting you placed in those jobs. And our team right now is like super experienced in this space, and they're really good at taking clinicians and giving them the best shot possible at winning these jobs. And I think that's maybe, especially for new healthcare travelers, may not understand, is that this ain't the pandemic anymore. You can't submit your name and get hired within a day like that. It's a lot more competitive than it was just a few years ago. And so you need to partner with an agency that has developed those relationships with the hospital, that knows how to package your profile and send it to the hospital so that you have the best chance at getting that job yourself, and people who can work really fast to resolve any issues that you might have when you're on contract. And so stability in our team of recruiters and account managers have been doing this for a really long time, partnered with people like myself and other healthcare clinicians that we have in the organization, making sure that we're doing it in a way that meets the healthcare clinicians' needs, gives them what they want, and does it in a way that's not gonna piss them off in the process. And so it's really important to us that we understand our place in this process of getting clinicians, bringing clinicians job opportunities, but also being able to do it in a way that can help the clinician reach their goals, and not necessarily just add to the noise that's already out there.
I love that. That's so amazing. Well, thank you so much for everything you said about Adni, and we're so excited to partner with Stability. It's so exciting that you guys are offering so many different opportunities to your clinicians to really ensure that they have like the best opportunity for them, whatever kind of meets their specific needs at the time, and giving them tools to evaluate that. It's really exciting and innovative work. So we're certainly excited to help amplify Stability. Everyone, definitely go check out Stability on Adni. Please, you will not be disappointed. And always love to end our podcast episodes with the same question. When you're on our Instagram Live in 2021, I think we might have asked you the same question. So maybe your answer's changed, maybe it hasn't. But we always end every single video by asking, why do you believe that unity in healthcare is more important now than ever?
We're in a small, tight market right now. And there's a reason that nurses and healthcare clinicians don't trust outsiders. It's because we've been burned so many times before from folks who are looking to take advantage of our certification and our license because we're such a small group in the broader context of things. And so I do think it's really important that we lean on each other, that we support each other through those hard shifts. Everyone who's worked bedside knows that nursing is a team sport, right? You can't always see all your patients at the same time. Sometimes you need your coworker to step in and help you out. You're giving report, you're getting report, giving each other a little grace in those times of stress and needs. We all make mistakes, but we also all need each other to get through these really challenging times. And so I think it's extremely important that healthcare clinicians do link arms and have this sense of unity. We can't tear each other down. We got to lift each other up because we are a small group of individuals who are in this profession to help patients. And sometimes we are, the only one between patients and everyone else. And so we've got to make sure that we keep patients at the center of our attention and our focus. But the best way of doing that is by making sure we support each other in our mission to provide health to our citizens.
Amazing. I love that. Literally the best way to end the podcast on that note. Thank you so much, Zach, for joining us. This was so awesome. So many incredible insights shared. And where's the best place that people can find you and Stability?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Zach Smith, Z-A-C-H. I mean, there's probably like 20 of us, but hey, give it a shot. You'll find me. I'm the BSN RN1. And I think go to stabilityhealthcare.com, and you can hear from me as well if you sign up and create a profile. I send out emails almost every week, and this one I sent out sort of a funny one about Halloween costumes. I'm not sure if you caught that one, but I send out a lot of emails that I try to keep it really fun, really light. And so if you want to hear from me, be sure to head over to Stability, sign up, and take a look at our job board and see if there's an opportunity that might meet your needs right now.
Amazing. Everyone, go check out Stability Healthcare and connect with Zach. Thank you so much for doing the podcast, Zach, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Anthony.